All right, this is Mr. Wyrick, and today we're going over the Chapter 7 review. This chapter test should actually be one of the most straightforward that we have done. If you have difficulty with the ratios and cross-multiplying, you might struggle a little bit, but that is the entire test. So on the number 1, there are 15 plums and 9 apples in a fruit bowl. What is the ratio of apples to plums? Since it says apples to plums specifically, that's going to be 9 to 15 or 9 over 15. Now that can reduce. Both of those are divisible by 3. So it would convert to a 3 to 5 ratio or 3 over 5. The order can be important. But I don't think there's one that's going to be on here where it'll say like, oh, this is a 3 to 5 ratio and the other one's a 5 to 3 ratio. So, I mean, the order can be important. Make sure you're looking at it the right way, but it's not necessarily going to be life or death on the test. Number 2, a scale drawing of a porch is 8 inches wide by 12 inches long. If the actual porch is 12 feet wide, what is the length? So here begins what we're doing for pretty much the whole rest of the test. It's 8 by 12, and the real thing is 12 by something. Now, you can, at this moment, just cross multiply and get your answer, and that's a totally valid way to do this. There's a couple other ways, and first off, I just want to talk about this because it can save you some effort. 8 over 12, those are both divisible by 4. So that would be 2 over 3 if we reduce it. We can then cross multiply that, and it's going to make things a lot easier. 12 times 3 is 36, and x times 2 is 2x. We divide by 2. X is going to be 18, and in this case, because we're converting to feet, that's going to be 18 feet. Solve 5 over 6 equals 4 over x. If 5 over 6 is equal to 4 over x, we cross multiply. That's 24 is equal to 5x. Divide by 5. That's going to be x is equal to 4.8. Okay. 2 of the bulbs in a sample of 30 were defective. If the sample was representative, find the number of bulbs expected to be defective in a case of 450. That's 2 out of 30 is equal to, we don't know how many out of 450. Again, this is something that you can go ahead and just cross multiply if you would like, or you can reduce the fraction. This time I'm not going to worry about it. 450 times 2 is 900. 30 times x is 30x. Divide by 30, and if I divide by 30, I can basically just cross out a 0 and say it's 90 divided by 3, which means x is 30. Find the triangle that's similar to ABC at the right. First off, I have my right angle, and I have this small angle. So it needs to have both of those, and they should probably be closest together. This one doesn't have the right angle. This one doesn't have the small angle. This one has the small angle in the wrong place. So already by just looking at the angles, I've got it narrowed down. Aside from that, 5 times 3 makes 15, 12 times 3 makes 36, 13 times 3 makes 39, which means this one's going to be my right answer. Find the value of x if ABC is similar to JKL. Now, it's really important on these like this to where if the shapes are not oriented the exact same way, to pay attention to the letters that they give you when they tell you it's similar. Side AB, that's the first 2 letters, should match up to side JK, that's the first 2 letters. So 6 on the small triangle, 18 on the big triangle is going to be equal to 9 on the small triangle and x minus 2 on the big triangle. I can reduce this. 6 and 18 are both divisible by 6. That's 1 out of 3. At this point, again, like I'm going to talk about one of the other shortcuts that we can do. 1 times 9 would equal 9. So I would take the 3 times 9 to get what this equals. This is x minus 2 equals 27. X would be 29. Again, you could just cross multiply and everything would be fine. You could cross multiply at the beginning. If you do cross multiply, make sure you distribute on this x minus 2 and multiply by both of the terms there. But if you can reduce this to your scale factor first, it can make your life a little bit easier. You can be multiplying by smaller numbers. You can also go through, you can type this 6 over 18 into your calculator. If you do that, 6 divided by 18, it's going to give you a decimal answer, but if you hit second and then this PRB button, it says this F and then the arrows and D, it will convert it back to a fraction that's 1 over 3. You can then go through the X values that it gives you because most of the questions on this are going to be multiple choice, and you can put it to where it's going to work. Okay, you can find the one that works that way. Quadrilateral ABCD is similar to quadrilateral PQRS. Again, on this one, like you can draw it, but you don't really need to, as long as you pay attention to the letters that they give you and the order that they give those letters in. AB is 10. AB would be the same as PQ, and we don't have PQ, so we can't really use that. BC, that's the second 2 letters here, that would be the same as QR, and that's the one they give us. So that's 6 over 4. Okay, they give us PS on the last one, but we would have to have AD for that, and we don't have that. This is what's going to give us our scale factor, 6 to 4, which is going to reduce to 3 over 2. ABCD is similar to EFGH. Find the value of X. All we have to do is match up the shapes. This is 1, this is 1, this is 2, this is 2, this is 3, this is 3. So 4, which is 4x, is 100. That means 4x equals 100. X is 25. Which theorem or postulate can be used to prove that these 2 triangles are similar? In this case, we can't really do side angles side because we don't have 2 sides on the second one. We can't do side, side, side because again we'd have to have all 3 sides. So in this one what we're probably going to use is angle similarity, but they didn't give us the same angles. But we do know that a triangle is always 180 degrees. If this is 90 and this is 63, we subtract 90, that's 90. We subtract 63, that's going to be 27, so this one's 27. At least 2 of the angles are the same. We have angle, similarity. Don't forget about those others, the angle, the side, side, if all the sides are in the same ratio. Those types of similarity, I think there's a couple of questions on the test. Find MN. This is my 35. The 6 is on the outside, so we're basically taking this one and flipping it. So that's going to be 6 on the small triangle is to 8 on the large triangle, as we don't know what on the small triangle is to 9. We cross multiply. 9 times 6 is 54, and that equals 8x. This one's not going to come out even. We divide by 8. We divide by 8. 8 times 6 is 48. That would give us 6 more, so this is going to be 6.75. And again, you can type that in on the calculator. It'll give you that decimal equivalent. I believe on the test it's decimals instead of fractions, so just typing it in, checking your work on the calculator is going to be a good idea. Number 11, a 5-foot tall student casts a 4-foot shadow. If the tree next to her casts a 44-foot shadow, what is the height of the tree? Again, you can just cross multiply and divide it out. It's not going to be super difficult, but you've already got your scale factor here. If I wanted to turn 4 into 44, I multiply by 11. 5 times 11 would be, it's a 55-foot tree. Okay? If these are parallel lines, then we can either say we want the whole triangle, or we can say we want the parts. If we do parts, this is 12 on the top is to 10 on the bottom, as 3 on the top is going to be to x on the bottom. That's, we can reduce this to 6/5. So again, like looking at my scale factor, or actually let's try one of the other shortcuts that we talked about. These two are on the diagonal, so I'm going to multiply them. 5 times 3 is 15, and then I'm going to divide by this one. 5 times 3 is 15 divided by 6, that's going to be x is 2.5. Okay, there's a lot of different ways that you can think about how to do these. Cross multiplying is going to work every single time. Reducing to the scale factor and seeing how you can apply it is going to work. Reducing to the scale factor and cross multiplying is going to work. Or instead of thinking of it as cross multiply, just multiply these two, divide by this one. If the easiest thing for you to remember is just cross multiply, do that every time. Okay? Moving on, triangle FGH is similar to PQR. FG is 6, PQ is 10. The perimeter of PQR is 35. What's the perimeter of FGH? Again, more than one way that you can address this. You can draw the triangles out, find all of the similar sides, and work from there. But the perimeter is going to be in the same ratio. So this is really just 6 out of 10 is equal to x out of 35. Okay? We can reduce this 6 out of 10, or we can just straight up cross multiply. That's 10x is equal to 6 times 5 is 30, 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. So we have 210 divided by 10, which means cross out a 0. X is 21. The perimeter of the smaller triangle is 21. On these, 16 is to 24, as 10 is to x. You just need to stay consistent with where you're putting the lines. I'm not going to worry about working that one out. On this one with the altitudes, it's going to be 12 is to 28, as 3 is to x. Again, we're setting up the ratio, the proportion, and we're going to solve it. I'm just working on mainly setting it up. I feel like we've done plenty of examples here. Keep in mind how this one works. This is the single one on the angle. This is the single, so that means the 12 is to the 16, as the x is to the 10. They're flipped, so you do have to pay attention to what's going on there. Find the value of x. Again, we look at how they're set up. So this is 18 is to 24, as 15 is to x. And then that's it on this one. The test is 20 questions. There's, I think, 4 or 5 of them that are griddable. There are some ones that used to be griddable, but it was too much for the Scantron to take, and I wanted this to be a Scantron test. So those are now multiple choice, and instead of having 4 possible answers, most of them only have 2. I think there's one of them that has 3. So just make sure you understand how to set these up, work it out carefully, and good luck on your test.